All right, Chelsea fans, welcome back to another episode of the London is Blue podcast. That's right, UEFA edition. Jake, hit that stinger.
The conference.
And we're back. And look, DP, Peasy, you're back on the show. We're the cheer crew. We're here to lift everyone's spirits during a difficult week, lots going on, man. How are you doing?
This is the Conference League level lineup right here. B team, B team, too good for this. This is
C team,
D maybe.
Not exactly.
Sorry, guys.
We're not exactly debutantes, but we might as well be.
This is Johnny Evans coming in for like a 2-month contract because all your defenders are injured. And you're playing like 7th division, whoever. That's me.
Look, we know who we are. UEFA edition podcasters. We know who we are. So, there's a lot to get into this one. I think the general vibe of the show is that it was an 8-0 win against a team that was created 7 years ago and has risen through the Armenian ranks very quickly. Mm-hmm. And so, look, it's going to be fun. We're going to have
How many ranks are there in Armenia? 2?
Not enough, apparently.
I don't imagine the pyramid runs very deep.
Not enough to really make that impact. But quick call to action for you guys. Thank you for all the support, especially over the last couple of weeks as we've had a lot of different sorts of shows go out. There will be a full Arsenal preview on YouTube. Obviously, it's a 3-pod week with Matt Law on Wednesday. So go to YouTube for the Arsenal preview. Sam will be discussing the Arsenal game with an Arsenal fan. So get ready for that. 5-star reviews, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, very, very helpful. Subscribe on YouTube. If you're going to go watch the preview, just hit the old subscribe button and help us out there. Discord is having a lot of fun today with this game. Lots of puns involved. So if you want to get involved in Discord, you can certainly do that. And then Sam's Dispatch, the London is Blue Dispatch newsletter, comes out usually right after the game on Thursdays of a UEFA week. So get involved there. Sign up for that. 3-word match reviews, like I said, all over the place. Kind of a fun one. Primarily Discord polls for this one, but T. Clot with Bernardo Cueva Hive. This started to see a couple set pieces.
Like the master plan has finally paid off.
we did.
All we needed was Noah.
set piece goals. Let's go. Brad with the Blue Flood. Lampard's son with Flood of Goals. That was mine too, to be honest. I was too lazy to go with another one. Let's see. He also came up with some other ones, so maybe I'll steal one of these as well. Blues Flood Noah, and then the Arc de Triomphe, which is kind of fun. Callan with 8 and Noah, and then 11 Aspies with 8 feels great. It's over to you, Peas, because you wanted to surprise me.
I should have stolen that one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We built this up because it's going to be amazing, but it's going to be terrible. The coach promised that they're going to park the arc, so this was the worst arc ever.
That's a 4-word match review.
No, ignore the worst arc ever.
Worst arc ever. All right.
Comic guy voice.
Yeah, it was a tough one for them. They, I think came in as significant underdogs and were proven to be that. And the match details shall prove that out. This was, of course, FC Noah at home on Thursday, November 7th in the Conference League at Stamford Bridge. Scoreline 8-0. As you probably have already seen the highlights and or the full match. Tosin Adarabioyo, first goal in a Chelsea shirt in the 12th minute. Mark Guiu, first goal in a Chelsea shirt in the 13th minute. Axel Disasi, first goal in some time in the 18th minute. Joao Felix really finding his stride in this competition in the 21st and 41st minute. Mikhailo Mudryk in the 39th minute with a very nice curled goal in. And then Christopher Nkunku with some late goal action, perhaps some gifts just given to him there.
Just a couple, yeah.
No. 69th and 76th minute, one was a penalty. This was a pretty bad beatdown. Most of the sofa scores for Chelsea are in the 8s, if not high 7s for this one. Even
I take
Axel
it. I take it.
Disasi.
SofaScore doesn't adjust for strength of opponent.
Yeah, it must be because
Boy.
it's up there. Joao Felix with a 9-2 in this
Oof.
game,
Wow.
absolutely scintillating.
Could have
as
had
we
a double
like to
hat
say.
trick, and so there's a whole bunch of other people.
Could have. Philip Jorgensen resumed his place in between the sticks. Didn't have a whole lot to do as we will go through. Disasi, Adarabioyo, Badiashile, and Vega make up the back line. Enzo Fernandez playing a lone six. We'll talk about him in a bit. Mikhailo Mudryk, Joao Felix, Christopher Nkunku, Tyreek George getting his first start. More on him in a little bit. And then Mark Guiu up top. So Nkunku slots back in this edition of the UECL. Plays with Felix in these kind of 10s roles while Mikhailo Mudryk and Tyreek George kind of hold width. Subs, Kieran Dewsbury Hall in for Mark Guiu in the 46 minutes. 4 vibes. Wasn't sure why. Cesare Cassidy in the 46 minute for Enzo Fernandez. Job was done at halftime at the 6-0 line, so no reason to keep Fernandez in there. Carnes in for Tyreek George in the 68th minute. And then a debut for Sam Raksike in the 79th minute coming in for Christopher Nkunku. Unused subs, Robert Sanchez, Max Merrick on the bench, Malo Gusto, Mark Cucurella, and Noni Madueke. Peas, the stats were pretty incredible here. Chelsea only had 58% of the possession. I actually thought it would be more than that. Expected goals, 5.8. That's a hefty expected goals for sure.
It's especially for 58% possession, you know.
If you're into big chances, Chelsea had 11.
We have a game for you.
11 to Noah's 1. Noah did have 1 big chance. There you go. A casual 31 shots in this game. Noah did save 7 of those. So that's pretty good. 4 corners to Noah's 3, 9 fouls to Noah's 5, 586 passes to their 431. Tackles, free kicks, yellow cards, just what you'd think. But anything stand out from the stats there, David Pastor? Guru?
Yeah. Oh boy. Well, 5.8 expected goals is pretty nice. I'm assuming that counts the penalty because most others I've seen was in the 4.9 range, which is still, I guess, like our greatest XG ever since all time, aka since they invented this statistic, which is younger than some blogs out there, I must add.
Any blog in particular? Any blog in particular you'd like to talk about?
What's interesting to me is somebody in our comments or this blog not to be named comments.
So we ain't got no history. You should go check it out. It's really Dave's a terrible salesman. He doesn't sell very well, but we ain't got no history.
He's terrible on the mic. He's much better on the written word.
Yeah.
Somebody in our comment mentioned that it was kind of like an intramural basketball game when you're at university and you have 5 really good dudes and then a couple effort guys, and then you play these other guys and you're like, you're going to win. And it's only a matter of like how quickly and how badly you're going to win. So you just kind of let him play, and then you give him a couple high fives, tell him like, nice shot, man, nice pass, and then you go up the other end and you absolutely destroy them. It is interesting that we did see 15 shots from the visitors. I would say most of those were like from the 25 to 30 yard range. So that 15 is a very generous number. It looks kind of bad in a way. And I've seen some tweets go by from the usual negative crowd that I tend to follow for some reason. As like an indictment of our defense and our midfield presence and things like that. But it was literally like we could have won this in like -1 gear. So it's just, yeah.
I mean, we played with one midfielder.
Exactly. We played with Enzo Fernandez as a midfield holder, and then we shoved 5 guys up front, and then some dudes just hung back at the end and had a sandwich or something. I don't know what they did back there.
Fernandez.
I know what they did. They went up for the corner, and then they headed in unmarked from the 6-yard line or between 6 and the penalty spot every single time. Like, I don't know. Maybe put a rec league, Sunday league team out there. Maybe just follow some dudes around in the area. I don't know.
Enzo Fernandez, a true CDM, as we all know. I mean, Vega
Spots.
obviously helps him out in this game a lot and, does the inverted thing. On your intramural basketball thing, just to tell a story, because this match review is going to be pretty straightforward. As a young man, probably 19, 20 years old, I was, at Nebraska over the summer, and this is back before the football players were making all this crazy money, or at least publicly making all this crazy money. And they were playing, like, they had a rec league team over the summer. And
nice.
then my buddies and I had a rec league team, and we were the last two in the gym for whatever reason. They're like, do you guys want to play ball? And we were like, not especially. Like, I mean, like, it's just like silliness. Like, these were all just like unbelievable athletes. And it's like me, and I'm our second tallest dude at 5'11".
Almost unbelievable athlete. Don't sell yourself.
No, I was much slimmer back then. Let me put it that way. And I remember this, like, I will never leave my head. Just like, it was one of those like crystallizing moments for how unbelievable some people are athletically and how bad I was. I steal a ball. The ball gets like basically passed to me. So I steal it. And I run down the court. And Nebraska's starting corner, Alfonso Dennard, who was an NFL player, very good. He was, I don't know, 3 inches shorter than me, probably. But I mean, quick, and could dunk with like his full elbow in the rim, like unbelievable hops. I'm running down the court as fast as I can, and I can hear him, and so I'm like, I got to get this shot off. Because there's no way I'm going to make it to the. I'm not making it to the rim. There's just not a chance I'm making it to the rim. So I pull up from 3 with no one in front of me, because I'm like, I hear he's coming, and like I'm not about to let this happen. And so I pull up from 3, and he literally jumps from behind me, palms the ball as I'm releasing it, takes it, runs down, and dunks on my teammate. And like, there are just some moments in your life where you're like,
and clearly this hasn't affected you in the last 20 years in the least bit in your approach to life.
It's just one of those things where it's like, I had no business being here in the first place. I can't get mad at it. There's no, and that's basically how I feel about Noah today. Noah is 2007 Nick Verlaney intramural basketball. That's exactly who they are.
You're that defender, whatever, twice lost the ball and got tackled from behind by Guiu, and there you go. And that's the corner. Forget his name.
Yeah, but basically that was how that goes. So that's just a quick story from yours truly.
quick aside.
So the stats were pretty bad. There's also this from Simon Johnson, who I think unnecessarily took the chance to kind of dunk on Noah before the game started. And again, lighthearted, why not? Simon Johnson said 300 places separate Chelsea and FC Noah, tomorrow's Conference League opponents. Said this before the game, obviously. In the UEFA coefficient rankings, that's probably about 500 now. What's the story of the Armenian club? And he goes into detail, whatever. Ben Jacobs also with a random stat that this was Chelsea's second biggest ever win. Their biggest ever win was 13-0 over, good Lord, help me pronounce this.
Junes Haucharaj. Let's go with that.
Yep. In the 71-72 European Cup Winners' Cup, they were up 6-0 in that game as well.
European Cup Winners' Cup.
Yeah, that was there was different cups back then,
I guess.
as you know. So last thing, shithouse moment of the match comes from out of left field with Sam, CFC Central, in the London is Blue Dispatch. So I need you guys to go sign up for this, because Sam, when he's really feeling himself, will deliver brutal blows like the following. And this was to close this out. Quite frankly, there's little to analyze tactically in these games, and nothing whatsoever to suggest how it may translate long term. But after 2 wins in the last 6, this was perhaps just the kind of buoyant evening the Bridge needed before a season-defining game against Arsenal on the horizon.
Ooh, good vibes, huh?
Just 2 studs
no
up.
Tactics, just vibes.
Bam, into the leg for no reason whatsoever. What did Noah do to you, Sam? Jesus.
Did Simon Johnson really calculate or count how many teams there are? Or is it ranked helpfully for him? Because there aren't 300 teams in the 36 team league phase.
I mean, it kind of makes sense, though. Like, if you look at all of the leagues, and the Armenian League has to be near the bottom.
Well, no, I know I looked up beforehand that Noah had the lowest coefficient of the 36 in the league phase, and we had the highest coefficient by like a mile, or whatever that is in metric. And so it's I understand where he's coming from, but I would also argue that Noah's coefficient is going to go up because they actually like beat a whole bunch of teams just to even get here. They like played like a full season. They played like a full season of qualifiers just to get to this point and then just get absolutely destroyed at the bridge. Biggest game in history. Oops.
So there's that. Look, we're going to take our first ad break on that uplifting note, and dive into a little bit of the game, some quotes from Maresca and what this all means moving forward. Thank you to the sponsors, and we'll be right back. All right, Pease, a really important question for you.
Oh.
Did Noah's park the arc strategy backfire? Let's really dive into this. What were your thoughts?
Well, on the notes here, it's park the arc, and arc is spelled with a C instead of a K. So I would say they parked the wrong arc because they should have parked the one with a K. That might have.
My spelling means nothing in this.
Shots.
Just
the arc. The arc didn't do anything. Unfortunately, it had a lot of leaks, and it's not helpfully been corrected.
There. Do you like that? We're doing some live script editing. How about that?
Well, I would say, if this was their quote unquote park the arc strategy, then this was a very badly executed park the arc strategy because there was no parking and there was no arcing. You can't spell parking without arcing, but alas, there was none of it was happening. There was no parking. It was just kind of floating about and just letting the waves take it one way or the other, normally away from other Chelsea players that they're supposed to get marking.
I found it odd, and look, far be it from me to question the tactical nous of FC Noah, but usually if you're the team that's 300 places below, Chelsea in the coefficient, and you're not nearly as gifted athletically, you're the Nick Verlaney intramural basketball version of this competition. Normally, you would see a team really sit deep and try and control the space.
What I would associate with parking.
They went they were kind of aggressive in the way that they were pressing and the angles they were playing their passes. And it didn't feel like this was the safe game plan to me. It felt like
they tried to nick the early goal.
Yeah.
Not Nick Verlaney, the early goal, just to nick it. No. They went for the 3 from, deep because they heard the footsteps and then they got swatted aside. Yeah.
Dunked, yeah.
And the only thing that early goal would have changed, I think, is the lack of a clean sheet at the end, because I don't know, this felt like one of those games that if we even turn up half asleep or half awake, it's 100 out of 100 Chelsea win, and it's just a matter of, I don't know. It kind of questions the entire existence of this competition in some ways, but let's not get into that. I suppose a trophy's a trophy.
For sure. The whole post-game press conference from Maresca was all about professionalism and just doing the job and treating every opponent like they are, a team to be reckoned with. And then I understand his point on this. He said the players once again showed how professional and serious they are. It's easy to sleep or fall down in this type of game. Football is full of surprises. What I asked them before the game was to show how serious we are, how professional. They showed that. If you remember the first 5 minutes, we conceded a chance. He's helping them out.
They were running away, pulling up for the 3.
If we had conceded, the game changes. He kind of laid it on thick a little bit here. He's like, you always have to be focused. You cannot drop. The way to show respect to them is to not to underestimate them. And it's an important message for us all. If you're not ready mentally, you can drop easily against any team. The most important thing is that we're serious, and we needed to show that. So I get it, Peace. I mean, this is not a team that's been like on a flyer recently. We've did not take Newcastle seriously in the League Cup.
Yeah. Well, the series that's been a theme for Maresca for these midweek, exercises throughout the whole thing. He said, I want to say he said pretty much the same thing after Barrow in the League Cup. There's obviously a talent gap regardless of which lineup we roll out here against these opponents, but the margins aren't necessarily as great. They are here, Noah being they, and have some players who have experience. It's not like they're like the Liechtensteinian team that mentioned earlier. Those guys were actual part-timers back in the 70s. This wasn't their profession. The players who turn up with Noah are actual professional footballers, and I'm sure, much like if we took them on, you and I took them on in a little rec league, our experience would be pretty similar to young Nick Verlaney in the University of Nebraska basketball gym. But there's levels, and if it's just the whole idea of practice, the way you play the way you practice. Every game you have to take it professionally and have to take it seriously. It's your job at the end of the day, if nothing else. So get out there and do it.
And I mean, Dan and I were talking about this. Like, this is clearly Chelsea's competition to win from just a pure talent perspective.
Competition lose.
Or that, whatever. Yeah. You look at like the lineup that we threw out there today. I mean, this is not even our B squad. This is Tyreek George getting a start. This is Mark Guiu getting a start. This is, Renato Vega continuing his stretch. You make a ton of halftime subs. I think it was the scoreline rubbed it in. I don't think the lineup rubbed it in necessarily. I don't think this was meant to be like a thing. Like you're gonna have to figure out how to just give Joao Felix and Co some minutes, and like unfortunately for all the teams that we play in the UECL, like that's gonna be that's just gonna be what
get us into the knockout rounds, and we'll get to some proper competition.
So DSAC does the post game interview with Chelsea FC. .com. He said it was good to win this type of game. We know we are a big team, so tonight was an opportunity to show that we have quality. When we started the game, the idea was to be very strong, respect our opponent, do a good job. A clean sheet was the goal tonight because we didn't have one in the first two games, so it's always good to keep a clean sheet after the game. We put on a good goal or a good game for the fans, and we know the expectation. My goal is something we have worked on a lot with the set piece coach. He told us we had to score tonight. Since the beginning of the season, we haven't scored any set piece goals. How about that? I'm sure he will be very happy tonight. David, knowing Bernardo Cueva like you do. I mean, you guys have been best friends.
I was texting him throughout the night. There it is.
Cueva.
This is your moment, Bernie. This is your moment. We've all been waiting for this.
Bernie. You're going to call him Bernie?
Sorry. Yeah. Bernardo.
Cueva man. Hey. Yeah. Thoughts on the set pieces and what you saw out of the set pieces?
The delivery was good area, and we got to it, which is what we need to do. I would say the difficulty level in executing the fairly basic routine was not exactly high. I would expect Enzo Fernandez to be able to deliver that ball every single time, and I would expect our tall defenders to make those runs or lose their markers every single time, especially against this opposition. I think it's fairly telling that we haven't really seen a glut of set piece goals scored against other opposition. So much like the overall game itself, I'm hesitant to read too much into it. That said, I mean, good job. Well done. This is what we would expect. And I'm sure Bernie was indeed smiling to himself as the players did what he told them that they should do. Presumably, we're guessing. I mean, he texted me back, but obviously I can't talk about this.
No, you got to keep that. You got to keep that private.
Confidentiality here.
I think the interesting thing about both of those goals, Adarbayos' goal and DSAC's goal, this was not I'm rising to meet the ball at its apex and I'm heading it down into the goal. This is a ball that gets through both times and kind of a stooping header kind of glancing header into the side netting, is that to you, is that just like total missed assignments by the Noah players?
Like, I mean, how many times do you ever see that in a Premier League? Like,
no,
I struggle to. I mean, I'm not like I thought about this for too long, to be honest. But like, I struggle to think of any goal that we've ever scored where we've stooped to head a ball in, like at right near the penalty spot with at least 2 yards of space around you. At either, I mean, I would say maybe if the flight of the ball is low enough, that gets headed clear at the near post every time, and if not, then somebody on the defense will get to it before our players do. They did start with basically a scrum, which was called out on the commentary multiple times as well. And I mean, that's a fairly tried and true tactic. You kind of bunch up your players so the opposition cannot mark you tightly, and then you know who's running where, your runs, and somebody runs around. I mean, we saw Thiago Silva do this a ton of times. He would normally run from the top of the box, not so much the middle of the box, but he would make that run. If he loses his marker, gets a couple yards, he can get to that ball.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, I'm sure Bernie will be upset when I mention this, but it's not exactly groundbreaking strategy here for our highly paid and well-respected set piece coach. But I mean, sometimes football doesn't have to be too complicated.
I mean,
basic things.
There's also this like thing out here, like semi-serious point. Like there have been indicators that, despite the lack of goals coming from set pieces, that Chelsea have been moderately progressing and like making an impact from a set piece perspective, offensively and defensively this year. Like it's not been like a total regression to like being completely awful like we have been the last few years. So are you seeing some of that stuff, like even when we're playing in the league?
I would say my biggest issue with set pieces last couple of years has been not so much the initial ball in, because there's a little bit of luck involved, a lot of kind of determination on how you deal with that, and that's coaching, but that's also just on the players themselves. But then the biggest thing for me last year and even the year before has been the second phase of any set piece, and that's basically if either you clear the ball and the other opposition recycles, or they recycle the ball because somebody got overhit or whatever, and there's a second ball in. Our organization has been atrocious for a long time now, last year definitely. And I've seen a little bit of improvement in that. However, one of the biggest chances that Noah got in this game was in precisely from a second phase in a set piece, where there were about 4 or 5 white shirts unmarked on the far side of the box. In came the ball, and all of our players were either just hanging at the top of the box or hanging at the near post. And some of that to me, that's the coachable part of set pieces. More that comes down to not just your execution in the moment or your physical abilities or whatever. That's the part where you have to concentrate, you have to communicate, who's organizing, all that kind of stuff. And my knowledge of all of this is a fairly amateur level defending, but I've played defense for far too long because I'm far too old. And this is the kind of stuff that we worked on all the time back in the days when I played as an organized part of an organized team. So that's the part that I want to see keep improving. I think we've made some progress. It's not as glaring of an issue as it was last year, which seemed like we conceded far too many goals in second phases. And often they didn't even get counted as a set piece goal concession, because who knows how these things get counted. But I don't know if that's Bernardo. I don't know if that's the coaching, some other coaches that Maresca might have brought in or whoever, but that part is improving, I think.
Yeah, I think it is too. I would agree. I think physically there's only so much you can do on a set piece, right? You're in a limited space battling someone, perhaps, maybe you're not, maybe there's zonal marking, whatever. It's the mental switch on to identify, is there a ball onto the back post? Are we jamming up the front? Or are we jamming the goalkeeper? Like, and defensively too, like who is your mark, and are you going to play some sort of hybrid zone and man marking thing? Are we getting our biggest, tallest person in the front just to knock down some of those easy balls in? Like there's just some mental stuff that I feel like could cause some issues.
that's where the mental is truly coming, because I mean, in a normal defensive situation, you're set in your usual positions, and that's 90% of the game. That's how you play, so you know exactly what's what zones, what man you're responsible for, whatever scheme you're running on a set piece defense. You're not in your usual position. So then that's why the second phase is so important, because now you have to figure out, do you recover to your usual position? Do you recover to somebody else's position, and that person has to adjust to cover for you in your normal position? How all that works. And that's where organization, communication, and practice come into play. And that's why that's the coachable part of it, because that's not something that naturally comes to anybody, really. Like, if you're out there, you headed to clear a ball, whatever position you're standing in, your initial reaction is to push out, get out of the box. You want to at least clear the area. So you just run straight out. And then you end up in situations that we saw once in this game, where everybody just pushes out. And then suddenly you have 5 defenders at the front of the box and 5 attackers at the back of the box. And somebody crosses the back, and thankfully, I don't even know how Noah managed to not even get a shot on target out of that. But that comes back to the whole 300 places thing, I think.
Yeah, I would think so too. All right, we're going to take our last ad break here. Stick around. We're going to run through quickly some of the offensive performances and look ahead slightly to Arsenal at the weekend. So thanks to the sponsors, and we'll be right back. All right, PZ, I'm going to make you compliment the following players for their excellent performances.
Oh, no.
Yep, it's happening. We're going to do it. Joao Felix, 90 minutes played, 2 goals, about, just barely overperforming the 1.66 expected goals. Feels like it should have been more than that, honestly, with the amount of chances he had. No assists, but he's not really an assist guy. Thoughts and feelings on his performance tonight? He did look up for this. He looked up for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I honestly, you mentioned that he played 90 minutes, and my initial reaction was, did he? But we're supposed to compliment. Sorry.
Compliments, please. Come on.
His hair is very nice, as always. I mean, it's tough. It's tough for me to watch Felix play and not get the idea that he thinks this is all beneath him quite a bit. I don't know, and I don't know. I think a lot of that is my own perception based on his general style. He's such an effortless player. He glides and just super smooth and just ridiculous technique and touch and just trying different things, trying fun things. He did what I expected him to do in this game, which is to show how good he is in moments, and then wait for the ball to come to him and do something fun. I'm surprised he missed that one chance where I don't even understand what he was.
That was a Timo. That was a Timo sort of miss.
It's a team. I once saw Ramirez, I want to say. No, it was a Kalu. It was Kalu or Ramirez, and apologies to one of them for failing to score on a ball that was literally an inch off the goal line. And
it was Kalu.
It was Kalu.
Yeah.
It was. Sure, I want to say it was also in some European game, and it was amazing. Like, he slid in, and all he had to do was push it over the line, and it literally went backwards, and it defied the laws of physics. Which
the one that always gets me is the Timo's at the back post. The ball falls to him miraculously. Instead of just letting the ball hit off of his chest and go into the goal, he tries to knee it and it goes straight up.
Timo.
Oh, dude, Timo. It killed me. Absolutely killed me. Anyway, Mykhailo Mudryk, one of our, I think the second highest rated maybe today, on an 8.2, got a really nice goal. Played 90 minutes as well.
My compliment.
Look, I think he was pretty good today. What are your thoughts, feelings?
Yeah, great finish. He's always better when he just does it. That's super deep analysis right here, but just do it, man. But I think the thing with Mudryk is he kind of gets lost in his own head, I think, and he just doesn't trust himself. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like, he saw these guys and he was like, I know I can beat these guys, every day and twice on Thursday. So he just went for it. And that goal that he scored was amazing. And we know he's got the technique to execute all these things. It's just, I don't know, he kind of he overthinks maybe the situation, or maybe just doesn't think enough. But I don't think that's the case. I think he's trying maybe too hard and not letting the game come to him. When in these games, he did it against Panathinaikos as well. Like when he's kind of relaxed and all that, that's where you can kind of see why people have been trying to sell us on Mudryk being, future Ballon d'Or winner and all that. But
yeah, I mean,
too positive.
I think your analysis is right. I like the other thing I've noticed about him is like he wants to drift in, and I think that they're unfortunately when you play Felix and Mudryk on the same side, Felix is the 10, Mudryk is the left winger. There's not a whole lot of tactical discipline there between either one of them, but like I think they did okay switching off. Felix did have a decent time on the wing when Mudryk drifted in and vice versa. So I thought that was fine. Mark Guiu, all-time hustle player, doing all the hustling. He clearly, hustles, gets his first goal in excellent fashion.
Mr.
And
Hustle.
then, hustles back and wins the ball back for a very, very easy goal for Felix. I mean, thoughts on Guiu, who, obviously starts a whole lot of preseason games, a lot of hype coming from Barcelona, then doesn't get as many chances, obviously.
I was surprised. Yeah. I mean, was there much hype though? Like,
yeah,
I guess. I mean,
decent.
he's got the credentials were hype, but like, I guess I don't know. I'm kind of surprised he only got 45 minutes. That was a bit of a weird sub for me. I don't quite understand why.
I didn't either.
That was like the easier actual striker here, and I thought he's doing what he needs to do, which is what we would ask him to do, which is to press and close down, win the ball. I mean, he directly was responsible for 2 of the goals we scored in the first half. And like, if there's any game to give him more minutes, this will be the game. I know you want to give Felix and Nkunku the minutes or whatever, because you want him to be fresh or get some confidence or whatever, keep him happy-ish, I guess, with these things. And I guess you're going to take the teenager off and put on more teenagers. But, I would have liked to see Guiu get a bit more. That said, maybe I don't really see him participating too much in the link up still. Unlike kind of like the Jackson role. Yeah.
I mean,
obviously Jackson is a lot better.
He's more raw for sure. Yeah. But yeah, I didn't understand this up. Like, I don't know what Kiernan Dewsbury Hall brings to this second half of this it's already 6-0.
I don't really understand what Kiernan Dewsbury Hall brings, period. But we're keeping it positive.
Keeping it positive indeed. And that leads us to the stat padding for Christopher Nkunku, who with his 2 goals and 1 assist in this game, does end up looking slightly better than he did throughout. 10 goals on the season now, which isn't, it's nothing to sniff at, especially you consider his injury record, this year's or last year was brutal. Yeah. He has 1 in the Premier League, 4 in the Conference League, or actually 6 in the Conference League with the qualifiers, and then 3 in the EFL Cup, short-lived. So he's not getting a ton of Premier League minutes here, but he is making the most out of his Conference League appearances.
Well, he did break the streak on against the last game. It was like the first game he didn't play. Otherwise, he had started or made a substitute appearance in every game we had played up to that point. I mean, leads the team in goals. 2 goals against Noah are not quite the same as 2 goals, say, against Arsenal. But, goals are goals. It's probably telling that the balloon stayed in the sock and then come out for these. He knows what these goals are. But he could also tell that he was getting a little frustrated that everybody was eating and he was still over there just waiting with an empty plate. So
it would have been an epic troll if he would have done balloon animals and put it on a balloon arc. I don't know. Thoughts for the future.
We only got so much time to celebration. I think you have 30 seconds.
We always have Astana coming up. Take this idea. Let's go. Enzo Fernandez in the lone six. There's been a lot of chatter about this player recently, and I think largely because Enzo Maresca just has flat out said, "Hey, he's not physical enough to play in the Premier League right now." Not hard to argue at any turn. He does have 3 assists today, which is very good. He has 0 goals, 0 assists, and 1 big chance in the Premier League this season. Does anything about his lone deep playmaking 6 role interest you in a more competitive fixture?
Interest me? No, I would probably have a panic attack if we lined up with Enzo Fernandez as a lone midfielder against pretty much any other team. I had a good chuckle when I saw that lineup, and I spent about 15 minutes trying to figure out who's the other midfielder going to be. And I was
Vega, obviously.
Vega. I guess we just do us. Maybe that inversion was too simple for me after getting Maresca.
Yeah, you're not deep enough in the inversion cycle, my friend.
No, I mean, I thought it was interesting that Enzo actually got that. This substitution at halftime was also kind of interesting, but it also makes me think that maybe there's something that Maresca's cooking for Arsenal, because what we saw with the Lavia Caicedo combination is that it worked beautifully against Liverpool, and it worked less beautifully against Manchester United. And it turns out that it does matter how the opposition approaches the game. If Manchester United weren't taking the press bait, at which point having 2, quote unquote holding midfielders or whatever you want to call them, was highly redundant. So then going back to the more of the Matic Fabregas combination in the midfield.
Yeah.
Shout out Fabregas and Matic. Might be something we might entertain against Arsenal at home. If maybe it's not time for Arsenal chat yet,
but keep that thought, because Ty George does get his first start in this game, and I'm really pumped for him. Right, Maresca said Tyreek was very good. I said before the game, probably with some young players, sometimes it's better to tell them the day before so they can prepare, but with some, it's better to tell them at the end so they don't get nervous. Coaching staff already knew that Ty was going to start. So I just told him 2 hours before the game. He was very good. Played 68 minutes. I think he was pretty bright in those 68 minutes, although not, recording a goal or an assist. Looked very comfortable in the team. Did some great underlap with Nkunku on that side. And I think had a pretty good relationship just with the whole right side passing the ball, which was good. Also, Sam Raksicki makes his debut for Chelsea as well. Comments from Maresca that he was very good. Happy that Guiu scored as well. Hasn't got many minutes, but they're all working hard. They are all 17, 18, 19. It's important for them. Carnes gets in the action too, Dave. So lots of young guys getting some good minutes in this game. Right. I almost wish there were more minutes at 6-0 up at half. I don't know how much more you need to prove in a game like that, but I would have loved to see 45 for Carnes. I would have loved to see 45 for Sam.
I do wonder what Chukwuemeka's fitness is really at, what level it is at, because just the way we're using him, it seems like we're very, 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 very careful. So I'm not sure what's going on with him. George should have had the assist. It was his ball that Felix somehow magicked to not put into the back of the net, which was amazing. But I'm kind of surprised that Maresca would talk about Tyreek George having nerves, because every time he's come onto the pitch, he seems like the coolest, teenager ever. He's like, oh, what's just another football game here? Who am I playing against? And he's got, no issues with confidence or anything like that, taking on players, trying to create things. And he was obviously far too good even for Noah here. So
I know Chelsea Youth has said this before, and the minute he said it, and this is probably close to 5-6 years ago, it's something that's stuck in my head. Our Cobham graduates don't look nervous when they play for the first team. They look like they belong. there's rarely been a Cobham graduate that's come into a game and let us down. Like, we've been let down by a hell of a lot of players, and rarely is it the Cobham graduate.
A lot of problems with you people.
Yeah, but like, you people. And it's just something to like. It's something to think about. Obviously the sporting directors did the interview with Matt Law, and they were saying like, hey, we're giving more opportunities as they can. Josh hopefully signs his contract and becomes one of the next ones that fills in. I just want to see more of these guys, because I agree with you. Like, I don't see nerves from these guys. Maybe they're really good at hiding it. Maybe I don't know them as people, but
it's clearly part of the curriculum, or whatever you want to call it, training that people, where we do at Cobham to prepare the players for the real deal. It's not just about the youth games. They've always seem ready and rise to the occasion, or whatever. It's like you said, it's what you get.
And what we get is a top of the league phase table, David. That's right. Mm-hmm. Chelsea, 3 matches played, 3 wins, 16 goals for, 3 goals against, a 13 goal diff, which will put you comfortably in first place. Legia Warsaw, Rapid Wien, Vitoria, Heidenheim, and Shamrock Rovers, 2 future opponents in the advanced stages right now, in that early advance. So lots going on here. There's it's a variable mishmash of teams.
This table has several teams with no badges. That's how you know the competition is really good.
That's how you know. Notably, I think Astana is near the very bottom. That's going to be Kazakhstan in December. Fun. But Heidenheim and Shamrock Rovers are coming up. So those are going to be 2 of your next opponents as we look to close out the league phase group UECL conference.
It's one of my biggest problems with this competition is it's called the Conference League, and it's the league phase, and it's really awkward. Maybe less so when speaking, but when writing about it, it's really awkward because it's the league phase of the Conference League. There's too many leagues. Pick a different term.
Yeah, group stage. It deserves the stinger again. Hit him, Jake. All right,
I was worth that one. Woo.
Peasy, let's look at the Arsenal game here. News out that Palmer might be injured, that Sancho might still be ill from I don't know what. Obviously, the attack might look a little bit different if those are the 2 absentees coming up. Do you think that's a Neto left wing, Nkunku 10, Madueke right wing then for Sunday?
Yeah, it's Neto and Madueke for sure. Jackson obviously up top.
Yeah,
and then I don't know if it feels like Nkunku played too much to be a lock for playing again on Sunday. Just because of our rotation thing that we've done so far, so I wouldn't necessarily expect that one. And maybe that's where I'm thinking that's where we might get something funky with Enzo happening.
Ooh, interesting.
And I could possibly see Maresca trying to mix things up a little bit, because what I was trying to say earlier, jumping in there, was Arsenal have shown plenty of willingness and capacity to just sit back and do a Mourinho, basically. People said Arteta is the new Guardiola. Well, his true colors have been revealed, because he's much more of a new Mourinho than a new Guardiola, which I'm sure Pep has deleted him off his speed dial now. But if he comes to the bridge, given all that, how badly they're playing and how bad their results have been recently, well, relatively bad, I suppose, and with all their injury issues and all that, whatever drama, Arteta out, hashtag on Twitter earlier today, hashtag yay. I would not be surprised in the least if he just turned up and sat back and said, come break us down. We know we can hit you on the counter, because our counter transitions or transition defense is not necessarily amazing. So perhaps adding another body in the midfield and having Enzo be the pocket 10 or whatever you want to call it. Maybe we've seen that not really work before, but maybe it'll work now. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm kind of just spitballing just based on what I've seen. I think the obvious choice would be to, if Palmer doesn't play, to go with Nkunku and have him be the support striker, because obviously that's like probably his best position. We rarely ever get to see him play that position, and it would be interesting to see him link up with Jackson, how that would work. But I'm just thinking that Maresca isn't going to give up on his 6-6 yet, because that definitely is a good base for our midfield. And if Palmer can't go, then maybe he'll try a slightly more defensive, more controlled look with Enzo, who will definitely execute the whole pass until the opposition gets tired, and then pick a pass through them instead of around them. So maybe something like that is cooking.
The other option that Safety Central talked about last week on the stream was you play all three of them, but it's actually Caicedo that's in the 10. He's done that for Ecuador, and
that's the Sarri N'Golo Kante solution right there.
Yeah, where you get the high press up, and he's able to turn over the ball, maybe make some critical pass. Like there's options there. What I really do hope to see is a more traditional fullback look in this game, where you get
out of here.
Yeah, that's right. Reese on the right, and dare I say Cucurella in on the left, because I think if you're screwing around with potentially playing Enzo in this game, and it's going to be a physical game, Arsenal are a much more physical team than they used to be. You got to have someone like Cucurella in there to cause a little bit of shithouse and chaos.
Honey badger action.
Yeah, basically, I think so. So yeah, I'm interested to kind of see what happens there. Arsenal are in 5th place. We are in 4th place. We're beating them on goal diff so far.
Oh, baby.
Only have a slightly worse defensive record than they do. This is not like the completely locked up Arsenal defense that it was last year. I know they have a ton of injuries in their back line, so I don't think they're gonna.
William Saliba was the greatest defender of all time. Yeah.
Yep. I don't think they're going to bite on this, like on the fake. They're not going to bite on our, sort of passing movement thing where we just sit on the ball and they come out, and I think they're smarter than that. United was certainly smarter than that. So It's going to be an interesting game to see if we have the requisite discipline to break them down and to not cause ourselves, talk about not good in transition defense, like not cause ourselves a whole bunch of headaches by playing so much in their box that we lose discipline. That's my big worry for this.
Yeah, there's a high likelihood of this being a frustrating game, but we also it's well within our capacity and means to win this game and win it convincingly, I think. So it's all about focus and execution, I suppose.
And on those positive vibes, we are going to wrap this one up. Thanks for joining the pod again, Dave. We will be back soon. And look, Chelsea fans, it's only as you're listening to this, 2 more days before the Arsenal match. So we will be doing a live stream after that match on YouTube. Please join us. They're a hell of a lot of fun. We hope that it's a good result, and everyone knows that the team that I want to beat the most in this world is Arsenal. So let's get that done at the weekend. And until next time, Chelsea fans, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high.